All right, so hey everyone. After a year of hard work and development of Frames for Figma add-on, I want to proudly announce that it is finally available for everyone to purchase. But before you dive in, before you make a purchase, you might be wondering what it is actually, what Frames for Figma add-on can offer to you. What does it have, any unique benefits, unique features that you could use? And so in this video, I would like to show you and present to you the Frames for Figma add-on so that you know what you're getting into. And also I would like to present to you the unique functionalities that you, to my knowledge, can't find anywhere else in other Figma UI kits. So first question, what is the Frames for Figma add-on? Well, Frames for Figma add-on is a combination of a CSS and Frames template library. So basically, with Frames for Figma add-on, what you will be able to do is to have a CSS-like experience directly in your Figma, alongside with a full Frames template library. Also, Frames for Figma add-on is a fully featured Figma UI kit. What that means is that it also gives you a handful of utility components such as buttons, video component, aspect ratio component, form-related fields, for example, text inputs, text area inputs, checkboxes, radio buttons, and things like that. It also has a pretty unique functionalities that we will go over in this video. And so I was thinking about how should I present to you those functionalities to you. And I think and I believe that the best example would be a real world example. So actually what you will see in just a minute will be a real project that I made for a client of mine. But I don't want to skip over things. And so first, let me show you a Frames for Figma structure so that you know basically what you are getting into. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is a Figma thumbnail. This is a first page for the Frames for Figma add-on. The next page is the Start Here page. This is basically a documentation. A step-by-step, we take you by hand, we show you everything that you need to know. It's pretty easy. We try to make it, okay, let me start again. Like Frames for Figma add-on, it is an advanced tool, okay? But we made it so that in order to achieve those functionalities, we try to make it as easy and as simple as possible, even for beginners. And trust me when I say, and I believe it 100%, if you read the documentation after like 2 or 3 hours, you are completely ready to use Frames for Figma add-on like a professional, okay? So it might seem like a burden at first, but believe me when I say it's pretty much easy and simple experience once you understand the basics. Okay, so here we take you by the hand. You have a documentation on everything that you need to know. On the left, you can see we have the pages. So basically the first, so to speak, parent page is the style guide. There you can see we have colors, typography, spacing, width, shadows, and border radius pages. For example, on the colors, let's take a look what we see here. So here you can see a preview of every color shade that automatic CSS automatically generates for you, alongside with a full documentation on how to change colors, how to apply them, and things like that. Then in typography, you can see a preview of the headings, body text, and we also included the accent text because some of you required the accent text, and I 100% agree. I believe that it is needed on some projects, so we added it in. Also, the documentation here on everything that you might need to know. It's really easily accessible for you. You don't need to go to another website. You can read it directly in your Figma file. I'm going to skip over the other pages here. Then we have project fundamentals. So this is the first, basically a unique functionality, but really simple one for the Frames for Figma add-on. So what you can see here is a place where you can upload the business logo. We have 4 variations here. So first 2 are for a desktop, and these last two are for a mobile device. And you can see we have a dark and light variation as well. Once you set the logo here, it automatically updates the Figma thumbnail, which I think is really cool and really handy for you because it automatically organizes your Figma files for you. So in the Figma files preview, you have everything organized. Let's move next to website templates. So this is basically the parent page for all the frames templates library. Here you can see we have some categories. For example, if I click on this blog category, you can see multiple blog post cards. We have article grids and also fully fledged blog sections. So now I've been really thinking about how can I show you a full power of frames for Figma add-on, because if I would have to show you all the extra and unique functionality that it offers to you, we would be sitting here for an hour or so. So I want to show you the most unique ones, the most extras that will help you speed up the design process the most. And in order to do that, I'm going to show you a real life scenario, real life project that I've been working for my client. And yes, so let's scroll down to the website design. And here you can see we have a final design page. I'm going to click on it. Let's just hide the Figma UI for now. And what you're looking at right now is a real project for one of my clients. And so this is fully designed and developed with ACSS tokens. And so let's just say that I send this design to my client. He takes a look at it. Figma makes it really easy for them to look. And he leaves the feedback like, hey, Tommy, I really like the design, but there's just one thing that I would like to ask you to do. Can we please change the red color to a green color? Okay. So this is real message that you might get from client. Okay, so he also might add something like, I'm really in a hurry. Can we do this by tomorrow's lunch, for example? You receive the message, and believe me when I say you will be able to reply in under 2 minutes with a message like, dear client, I already made the update. Please have a look on the updated design. Okay, so let me show you why and how we are able to do this in under 2 minutes. So I'm going to show the Figma UI once again. Let's open up the Token Studio plugin because this is a plugin that Frames for Figma add-on uses for advanced calculation. And it allows us to have those unique features that we really need. So if I want to change the primary color from red to green, what I can do is type in the primary. Here you can see we have those shades, and remember those shades because once I change the HSL values, this will update. Okay, so here we can see we have HSL. I'm going to click on the hue value and I'm going to change it to 100, for example, or 90, because I already know as a designer that 90 as a hue value is a green color value. So I'm going to click on save. Styles and variables, export, confirm, export. And just like that, I have changed the primary color from red to green. How long did it take me? Like maybe 10 or 15 seconds. Okay, so I'm ready to write to my client, dear client, I made a change, please have a look. And I can reply under 2 minutes and he's going to be amazed how quick I am. Okay, so yeah, this is how easy it is. Next, we can see we have some accessibility issues here with this, color. This is just for a demonstration purposes. So I'm going to change the hue value back to the red. Again, export, confirm, export. And the red color is back. That's how easy it is. Okay, and if I go back to the color style guide page, you can actually see what happens here as well. So let's go again to preview our primary color. And right now I'm going to change the hue once again to our 90 hue value. Styles, export, confirm, and export. And just like that, you can see we have automatically generated all the color shades, even the transparency ones, okay? And that's how it works for every other color family here. We have secondary, tertiary, accent, base, semantic colors like success info, you can really play with this really easily, and it's really, really fast. I'm going to once again change the hue value to 6 to go back to the red color. Okay, we are back. So let's go back to the final design page. Now we have, made a change. We provided a new link for our client. Please have a look. We updated the design. He takes a look. He really likes it. Maybe he might have one more request. For example, he can write something like, "Hey Tommy, you were really quick, by the way, but I really like it right now. But let's make all of the headings a little bit bigger. I would like to make them a little bit bigger." He will send it to you again. Maybe he thinks it will take you like 1 or 2 hours. Well, with Frames for Figma add-on, it will really take you like 10 seconds. Let me show you how. So if I open the Token Studio plugin, I can just simply go to SD base, and you will learn about all of those prefix letters. S is a prefix letter for settings. D is a prefix letter for desktop. We want to change the base heading size on desktop. Okay, so you can see here actually we have settings, desktop, base heading size. This is what we want to change. If I change it from 18 pixels to something like 22, click on Save, Styles and Variables, Export Styles and Variables, Confirm. And now before I click on Export, please take a look what happens with these headings. This is H1 heading. Okay, you can see it here. This is H2 and H2 as well. So I'm going to hit export and see what happens. All right, so all of my headings became actually a little bit larger. That's because I adjusted the base heading size, and all the other heading sizes are calculated based on that. Okay, let me show you one more thing. If I go to the typography page, style guide page, here we can see a preview of all our headings. So these are the headings on desktop, and these are the headings on mobile device. What else can I change? I can change a type scale. So I not only have a control over each heading size based on a base heading size, I can also control the type scale. So basically the difference between each heading sizes. Okay, so if I change the type scale, the font sizes of headings will automatically adjust. Let me show you how. I'm going to type SD heading, and you can see we have a filtered out result for the heading type scale. I'm going to edit it, and instead of 1.6, let's make it maybe a little bit smaller. For example, 1.3. I'm going to click on Save, again Export. And now before I do export it, have a look at what happens here, okay? I'm going to click Export. And you can see how each heading sizes, basically there is a smaller difference between each of the heading font size. Okay, and so that's how easy it is to adjust font sizes. In other Figma UI kits, what you have to do is to manually set font size for each heading. And this is not only applies for the headings, it also applies for a body text and maybe accent text if the Figma UI kit that you are using offers it. It also applies that you have to set a different font value for a mobile device, okay? But you can set the base font size for headings, for body text or accent text on desktop or mobile, and you can also adjust the type scale on desktop or on mobile. So you have pretty much large flexibility in order to change anything that you want to change. So what's next? We send the client a new updated design, and he might also ask you to change the spacing. Okay, so maybe he wants to narrow the spacing down or make it a little bit bigger. Well, what do? Well, in the same way that we adjusted the font size, we can adjust the spacing values as well. Let me show you how. So if I go to the spacing style guide page, here you can see we have two spacing options. For example, this is a standard spacing, so you know the space between the heading and a text. And we have section spacing. So this would be for your sections on the website. Now, if I want to change the spacing values here to make it a little bit bigger, what I can do is increase the base spacing value. And so how can I do that? I can do that by simply filtering out the results to as the base spacing. And you can see we have these results here. By default, we set the base spacing value to 30 pixels. I can adjust it to something like 45. Click on Save, Export. And just like that, I have just automatically changed every spacing value. Okay, I can also control the spacing scale. So just like we did with the font sizes, we can also control the spacing scale for the spacing values as well. So basically how much of a different will be the larger spacing option than the previous one. I can also do the same for section spacing. So basically the ACSS is really powerful CSS framework, but right now you will be able to use it directly in your Figma file. And so I could go on and on and on what everything you can and how easily you can adjust it inside the Figma thanks to ACSS tokens. So basically you have the same ability to change the width of your website and width tokens, shadows, border radius, and things like that. But what I want to show you now is how easily you can create your own custom components and how easily you can style things thanks to the new approach that we've managed to create in Frames for Figma add-on version 1.3.0. So I'm going to the custom components page just to show you how easily it is to apply ACSS tokens as variables. So previously, the user experience was not that great because you had to have the Token Studio plugin open at all times. And for example, let's just create a simple layout where we have a heading and a text. Okay, I'm going to create a sample heading, then create a lorem ipsum text. Let's wrap it into that auto layout and let's give it a fill value of really white color. We don't want any padding, any gap, anything. I'm just simply going to show you how easy it is to apply ACSS tokens. So first of all, what do we need? We need these to be heading. So what do? We go here to the styles and search for the ACSS token that we need. I want this to be a desktop heading level 3, for example. So I'm going to type DH3. Let's apply it, and there it is. Next, we want to apply the text M token to this text. So again, click on the style icon, the text, and I'm going to choose the text M token. Perfect. What do we need as well? We need some padding on each side. So I'm going to click here, and maybe we want the space XL. It is a little bit too big, so I'm going to change it to the space M. Perfect. And I also need some gap, and this would be a good situation for a contextual spacing value. So I can actually go here and apply the content gap. Perfect. And just like that, we have created a simple card. What else can I do? Well, I can also apply some border radius token for this card, or I can simply choose from here immediately, like global radius, for example. All right, looking at right now at this card, the gap between the heading and text is a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I want to narrow the gap, and I want to use this space extra small. Okay, it looks a little bit better. So that's basically how easily you can apply ACSS tokens variables to your custom designs. What I didn't show you is how you can apply the color. So if I go to the fill layer, let's choose the primary ultra dark. And now for this heading, I want the primary ultra light. And for the text, I want text color light muted. Perfect. And just like that, I created a dark variation of my card, for example. Okay, so that's how easy it is to apply ACSS tokens to your custom components and custom design. Alright, so up until now, I basically showed you the power of ACSS tokens and I showed you the ACSS-like experience directly in Figma. But there is a really cool feature that Frames for Figma add-on has that I didn't see in any other Figma UI kit. Let me show you. So, as you know, Frames for Figma add-on contains the full Frames template library. So for example, as I showed you previously, if I go to the block category, I can go here and look around to see which article card would I want to include in my design, or which block section should I or would I want to include in my design. How can I access it? Well, simply I can click here, Control C and Control V. Or if I go to the final design page, I can go to, I can deselect the Token Studio plugin for now. So I can go to the Assets panel and search for it there. You can easily, drag and drop the blog post components into your layout. But I want to show you something a little bit more crazy and something that is really cool and something with which you will be able to wireframe a website in under a half minute. Okay, so in 30 seconds. So let me show you how. I'm going to go to the Assets panel. Let's search for a site builder component, a unique component that will make all of this happen. Let's wrap it into the auto layout. Let's delete the spacing that Figma automatically gives us and rename this layout frame to a desktop. Perfect. Now if I click enter, you can see I have selected this site builder component. On the right side, you can see I can choose from the frames category. So right now it's by default set to header. This is the first element on the website, right? So I can choose from any category here. For example, hero section or the blog, content, e-commerce components and things like that. Next, you also have the ability to not only choose the category of the frame that you want, you also have the option to choose the type of that category. So for example, I have the header selected, and from here I can choose from a different types of this category. So for example, header alpha, header bravo, header delta, and things like that. If I want another section, let's just simply duplicate it. Let's change this to a hero section. And for example, I may want to hero echo or foxtrot, India, Juliet, India, whatever I want. Okay, next, I'm pretty much happy with this. Let's duplicate it. What else do I want? Well, maybe I want a feature section. So I'm going to features. Let's say that I would like feature echo. Perfect. What's next? I may want some social proof section. So for I can choose something like this. Perfect. Looks good. Next, I may want a blog post section. Looks pretty cool. And I want a footer. Let's choose footer November. Okay, perfect. And just like that, I wireframe a really simple page in under a minute, okay? And so with the site builder component, you have access to full frames template section library. You can easily wireframe a website pretty much like at a triple speed at what you're able to do inside a bricks builder. And let me show you even the most crazy thing where I was so happy that we have achieved this in Frames for Figma add-on. So if I duplicate this and rename this to mobile, you may already know what will happen. Look what happens. I'm going to click enter. Do you see this toggle here? If I click on the mobile, all of a sudden I have a mobile variation for my website. Now, how quickly was I able to wireframe a website with this? Even like desktop and a mobile variation as well. It's pretty cool, huh? Okay, and so last but not least, I want to show you how easy you can build your custom forms inside Figma. So let's just say that my client contacts me. He wants a simple contact form on his website. Okay, dear client, no problem. It's easy. I have Frames for Figma add-on. So let's search for a text input field. I'm going to drag it in, and by default you can see how many options we have here, but let's just create a sort of form wrapper for now. So I'm going to use ACSS tokens, of course, to style it. So let's create a form wrapper. I want this to be primary ultralight, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe it's going to be neutral ultralight. Perfect. For the padding values, I can choose the space L, for example. This is a little bit narrow. I'm going to choose the space S. Perfect. Or maybe I want to use the space M. Okay, this is fantastic. Now, let's choose the text input field. What options do I have? I can choose the type. So for example, right now it's a basic text input field. I can choose email. I can choose a phone. All right. So by default, you can see how much Frames for Figma add-on does for you. Let's make this a little bit bigger so that our text input fields are bigger as well. What else can I do? Well, I can choose the cards, different layouts. But let's just start like realistically. I want to create a simple contact form. So this is going to be text. Do we want to show the label? Yes, we don't need the hint text. We don't want the icon. We may want to show the placeholder. Okay, so is this required? Well, not really. I don't want this to be optional. I don't want a tooltip as well. And I also can choose the label text. So this would be your first name. Perfect. Let's duplicate this. What I want now, well, I may want to catch the email of the client. So this will be your email. And as you can see, the text input fields are pretty much close together. So I want to apply some padding here as well. I'm going to apply the space extra small as a variable, and this form wrapper should have some global radius applied. Perfect, looks a little bit better. So I'm going to duplicate this section, text input. Let's ask for a phone, for example. Okay, so I want your phone. Perfect. Okay, so what do I want next? Well, next, I may want to have some additional space for the clients to write some notes. But before I do that, I have a pretty cool idea of making this form a 2-column form. So I can, wrap this into the auto layout, give it a hack content, stack horizontally. This will be the hack content as well. We may need some additional fields. So this will not be the email. This will be a simple text. This will be the last name, first name. Perfect. Let's wrap this into the auto layout as well. Let's give it the hack content for the field. Let's duplicate the text input field, stack it horizontally, and let's change this phone to an email. Okay, and I want to change this label to email. Perfect. Now you can see the gap between these text input fields is not the same, so I want to change that. How can I do that? Well, easily I can select both auto layouts and apply the grid gap, for example, or the space extra small. Perfect. And now lastly, I may want to have the text area input for those additional nodes. So I can do that easily by copying this, pasting it here, and change the text input field from here to text area. So let's choose the text area field, change the width to fill and the height to hack content. Perfect. And for the label, we want additional nodes. Now, what options do I have here? Well, I can deselect the editor nodes. I don't need those. And I think it's pretty much good. And what else do we need? Well, we need a button, of course. So I'm going to search for a button component. Let's drag it in. Make it fill container. I'm going to fill the inner container as well. And right now, let's have a look at what options do we have as a button. Do I want the light variation? No, I want the default one. Perfect. I can choose between secondary, tertiary, and different types of the buttons. I can make it desktop or mobile variation. It's pretty much flexible, and the functionalities and options for here are insane. Like, it really took us a long time to get into here. And so, yeah, this is basically how easy it is to build a form. You also have additional fields like toggles, radio buttons, checkbox buttons, and all the necessary form fields, components that you would need. And in the same way that I showed you how you can easily adjust the font sizes and type scales and spacing scales and everything necessary in regards to your design, in the same way you are able to control the styling of your forms. So you can control for example, the label font size globally with ACSS tokens. If I set the font size for the label on desktop for forms to be 18 pixels instead of 16 pixels, I can do that easily. Okay, I have a global control over everything that I need. And yeah, that's basically the power of Frames for Figma add-on. And those features and the features that I just showed you are not a standard features in other Figma UI kits. It's not a standard inside a native Figma environment. And to my knowledge, no other Figma UI kit comes close in terms of features that Frames for Figma add-on is able to provide you with. Like, for example, in other Figma UI kits, if your client asks you to change the primary color from red to green, you would have to manually go over each color and change it manually. The same applies to font sizes. You would have to manually control the font size for each heading level or the body text, and not to say the accent text, okay? Do you have the ability to change the type scale? No, you don't. You would need additional extra plugins for this and this and this. With Frames for Figma add-on, you have everything in one place. And not only you have everything in one place, the benefit here is that there is a seamless integration with ACSS. All right, and so if you are excited about the features that I showed you right now is the perfect time for you to grab a lifetime license, because this is a Black Friday deal, special deal. You have a chance to grab the license at a discounted price, because the price will rise afterwards. And so if Frames for Figma add-on interests you, please click on the link down below. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. I will gladly answer all of them. And so yeah, that's basically all I wanted to show you in this video. And that being said, have a great day.